the Survivor, we bring you the best guests in all of true crime. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button. Here's your host, Emmy Award-winning broadcaster, Joel Waldman.
What's up, STS Nation, and welcome to Surviving the Survivor. It is the show that promises to bring you the very best guests in all of true crime on trending criminal cases. And today, I'll be honest, I didn't know much about this case, but I'm trying to cover a trial. And when I was, so many people flooded me with emails saying, you got to check out Crystal Rogers. And I'm going to explain what happened in this case in a moment. Her ex-boyfriend, Brooks Houck, is about to stand trial. Before we get into the particulars, welcoming back to the show, you've got three-time Las Vegas Officer of the Year, Detective Phil Ramos. He infiltrated the Cuban mob. He is a homicide detective, still rides his Harley. Detective Ramos, when you are a three-time Officer of the Year, what do you get for that? You get like a trophy? Do you get a plaque? Is there a dinner? What happens?
You get a little certificate and a free lunch.
do your fellow officer friends poke fun at you that you're Officer of the Year again, kind of thing?
Oh yeah. Especially when the Latino Police Officers Association gave me Officer of the Year for something. They said, you bunch of Mexicans, you all just hang together, man. You ain't no white guy gonna get that. I said, well, that's the whole point.
Yeah. Who decides on just the regular Officer of the Year? Is that like the chief? Who decides this?
Usually the board of whoever is sponsoring the award gets together, and from the department itself doesn't give out Officer of the Year awards because there's just so many good cops that get recognition from the public and other organizations. So they kind of limit themselves. They will sponsor it and be there, and the sheriff will speak, but it's usually different organizations that name Officers of the Year here in Vegas. And Las Vegas, I mean, we've got 6,000 employees.
Wow. So
it's kind of hard to pick one out over all of those.
Yeah. That's 6,000 police officers, or that's 6,000?
No, we've got about 3,500 cops, and the rest are civilian employees.
Got it. Next up, of course, Dr. Detective Troy Looney, who is he's an active detective in Akron, Ohio, and is launching and has his show on our second channel, STS Talk, which is True Crime Talk, STS Talk. Dr. Detective, you got another show coming out next week. Is that it?
That's correct. Yeah. I think I'm added to the series, so I appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
And what's this next show about? Give us a little tease here.
Well, it might include the great Detective Phil Ramos and some other wild story. I found some. You just can't make these things up, right? So we'll see what happens. It's either about some scam or it's about somebody getting assaulted or some kind of trauma, I'm sure. So
yeah. And Troy, I don't want to rub it in, but have you ever been nominated or won Officer of the Year accolades in Akron?
Actually, I got Detective of the Year nominated by the prosecutor's office, and 2023 they gave me a plaque. So it wasn't by my department, right? So, and as you know about Crime Con, I think my department probably voted for everybody else. So
well, there you go.
All right, I don't know.
Let me tell you a little bit about the story. We'll get into it. By the way, I am watching the Karen Reed trial, and it's literally making me want to bang my head on this desk today. I have to stop watching. It's not good for my mental health. It's supposed to have a tele-visit with my doctor, a check. I know that's shocking to everybody. I try to stay ahead of the curve so, I don't keel over suddenly, that it happens more slowly. 3 times already, they called me and asked me for my insurance information. 3 times I have given it to them. They called again today. It just drives me crazy. There's something not right in this country with healthcare, as we all know. But it's like How many times do I have to read a 20-digit number to you to then tell me you have to go back and authorize me, to then tell me you haven't authorized me yet, to then tell me I got to reschedule my call, and then they want to reschedule my call. Today's May 2nd. They're like, oh, can you talk to the doctor on May 28th? I'm like, I could be dead by then. So anyway, she said she'll try to get me in tomorrow. I know I'm whining between those two. That's me crazy. All right. So 2015, July 2015, Crystal Rogers. She's a 35-year-old mother of 5 from a place called Bardstown, Kentucky. There's an entire podcast on this town in this case. She vanishes without a trace. Her car is later found abandoned on the Bluegrass Parkway in Kentucky. Inside that car is her phone, her purse, her keys are all in there, and her boyfriend at the time is a guy named Brooks Houck, Houck. He tells police she just left the home in the middle of the night, and he never saw her again. People just vanish into thin air, he says, basically. 16 months later, her father, a guy named Tommy Ballard, who was really putting a huge effort forward trying to find his daughter, Crystal Rogers, well, he winds up getting shot and killed while on a hunting trip on his own family's property. That case is still unsolved, but most investigators believe it is linked to the Crystal Rogers, to his daughter's case. So now you've got a second dead person, or one dead and one missing still. There's still no body of Crystal Rogers. After these years of suspicion, again, it's happening back in 2015, Brooks Houck is finally arrested and charged with Crystal Rogers' murder in 2023. So that's 8 years later. 2 others, including one of his employees, and that employee's son, are also arrested. And now this guy, Brooks Houck, is set to go to trial this summer. But we are taking you back today to where it all began. This is shortly after she went missing. Police interview Brooks Houck, and that's what we're about to watch with 2 seasoned detectives. We've been doing this the last bunch of weeks. It was an obvious idea that I never came to me because I'm not that smart, but I was like, we've got these amazing detectives on. Why don't we watch these police interviews together? So that's what we are doing here. Before we get there, perhaps one of the most special days in STS history, in STS lore. It is the day before Space Coast's birthday. I won't reveal his age, but the day before Space Coast on the West Coast's birthday. The birthday is May 3rd. Today is May 2nd. There he is. Space. Look how handsome Space Coast is. This would be my brother-in-law. This would be the COE's wife. He's in LA, we're in Miami, so we're helping him celebrate. And by doing that, we are going to donate all super chats, super stickers today to Space Coast as a gift for his hard work. And we are matching all of the donations. You see right there, STS is matching all super chats and super stickers today for Space Coast birthday. And there you go. And I'm just thinking about it, by the way, not to take any sizzle out of Space Coast steak, but it was also Meave Moen's birthday this past week. I had no idea. These guys don't tell me, even though we work together every day. So we will definitely send a little extra something to Meave Moen as well, who's working hard and helping out his family while doing other things here in South Florida. If you want to donate with YouTube, taking the percentage, we also have COE told me the Venmo set up at STS Podcast. Space Coast is the true OG. He's our first member ever. He's been with STS since before even the COE joined, if you can believe that. So we appreciate you all more than you know. We appreciate Space Coast immensely. He helps out a ton behind the scenes. It is a team effort here, and there you go. And look at this, Beth Warren giving a super sticker. We're going to have to match that. I don't know if I can, but I will do my best. And there's Space Coast, the blue heart emoji for the Dodgers, of course. Oh, look at this. Canine Catherine, one of the more generous people that I know. So here you go. And by the way, people are probably wondering, hey, do Phil and Scott, FIL, hate Joel and Surviving the Survivor? And the answer is maybe. I don't know for sure, but I've talked to them, and they are both planning on coming back. Phil is headed back to the Big Island and had to just wrap up a bunch of stuff, and Scott's on the road for some things. And they are tough, seasoned police officers. So I think if they actually hated me and the show, I don't know about me, but they hated the show, they would just say, hey, look, I hate the show. I'm not doing it anymore. But they're busy guys, and they will be back very soon. And I love mixing it up, though. You got Phil Ramos and Dr. Detective. And here we go. You guys are awesome. I love grunge with a happy birthday, Spacey, to the sound guru and a new member here in Jennifer Miller. And without further ado, this is it. This is Brooks Houck being interviewed in Bardstown, Kentucky. So let's start watching. As per usual, if the Dr. Detective or Detective Phil Ramos have anything, I'll let them fire up their hand, and we'll break it down. We'll go as long as we can go and try to get through as much as we can, and then we will move on to some fun stories and crazy stories of the week. Here we go. They always look happy in that police interview room, waiting. Scoot this up a hair. There we go.
I just called, trying to get up here before we get here. He's not answering his phone yet, so he must still be in the middle of it. All right, that's all right. All right, I'm gonna take a minute here.
Thank you, Cooler. Thank you.
Yes.
If you give it a super chat, I'm gonna shout you out.
But I did, I was trying to cover as much as I could. If my writing's not real level, you just ask me, and I can clarify real quick for you.
This trial starts end of June. I'm going to try to go to this, I think.
Yeah. 4 o'clock, Bluegrass Center.
And I don't know these. I put approximately on this before.
Yeah, it's nobody. I don't expect you to know exactly.
Yeah, no, there's no way for me to.
Yeah.
Let me just try to get to the meat of this a little bit. I'm just going to scoot up a touch here.
Just a second, I'll bring it right back.
There was, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 other girls that worked up there.
Sorry, let's see here. I just want to.
There was, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 other girls that worked up there with her. I don't know their names. They didn't have a large amount of employees, just a few.
When you said you all had talk about splitting up, had that been more recently, or was that before Eli was born, or had that been?
I don't remember the exact dates, but if you'll recall back in a couple of days ago when we had talked, whenever usually that had came up, she had always went to like Sabrina's house, or she went out with Brooke or to her parents for a short period of time, a day and a half. And after she cooled off, and we had a chance to talk a little bit, we always found ourselves back together. But it has been at times a stressed relationship. I'm not here telling you anything other than that. That is the truth, and that's accurate. Yeah. That has been discussed, but we've always found ourselves together. We loved each other very much, and that right there is the bottom end of it.
I'm gonna stop it there. A good thing I have the controls today. Detective Phil Ramos, to you first. So one of the things that I'm noticing right away, and I'm learning about these interviews / interrogate. I use interview because Phil Waters, for whatever reason, hates the word interrogation because I think it's probably a cold term. But Phil Ramos, typically these are like barren rooms, but I'm noticing he's taking notes and there's crap all over the table. Even a phone right there, which I guess deranged person could pick up and try to smash over someone's head. What do you make of this setup? What do you make of his body language just at the onset here?
Yeah, I noticed that too. I mean, it looks like it's somebody's working desk and it doubles as an interview room. I've never seen a phone, and that's obviously an office phone with all those buttons there. And looks like a box of Kleenex, calendar, sticky notes, and yeah, I don't know what to make of that. It doesn't. Most interview rooms are very austere, and you don't see stuff like that on there. His body language is, he's kind of open, and I don't see anything unusual at this particular point. But it's just started, and the hard questions haven't started. So we'll see how that progresses.
Mm. We have Treese runs on batteries here. So excited to see her covering Crystal Rogers. Her mother is such a warrior for justice. You would love her. I'm just dipping my feet into this case right now. Someone mentioned to me, or I was reading, that there's something like four in total unsolved homicides in this tiny little town, Bardstown, Kentucky. So it is definitely an interesting set of circumstances here. But Dr. Detective, your thoughts on the setup, the body language?
Yes, my observation as well. I'm like, what is all that stuff on the desk? I'm like, just a little unusual. The phone's a little odd. So yeah, I thought this might be what we may consider a quiet room, but we wouldn't even have all that stuff either. So again, you have to allow yourself room to write. As far as his body language, he's definitely comfortable for now, and we'll see if that changes.
Yeah, he looks a little almost like cocky or arrogant right now, I would say. But by the
Yes.
way, I see Julie Frew here. Phil Ramos, you'll appreciate this. She's watching. I love that our mod is watching F1 while modding. And I love the honesty, because she's like, screw this. I don't care about STS today. I'm just going to watch F1. But I'll tell you, Phil Ramos, yesterday I was out and about with my kiddos, and it's like the third time that I see two Miami-Dade motorcycle cops zipping by with like a weird blue Jeep behind them, like almost like looks like a Bronco or whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell? Like, what is this? Who's getting? There's obviously like a protectee here. Anyway, it occurred to me, because I saw them going the other way today, and then I saw a third time that the F1 drivers are probably staying at a hotel right where I live, and they keep getting escorted out by police. So now I think I know where they're staying, and just by chance, I'm going to get a haircut with my 5, almost 6-year-old boy at 3:30. And I think I'm going to stop by that hotel and, I don't know, embarrass him and introduce him to some real Formula One race car drivers. That's what I think is going on. Do you think that's a possibility?
Yeah, sure. I mean, depending on which hotel, if they want the publicity, you'll see posters and all kinds of advertisement for the race there in their lobby and so forth. If it's very normal, then maybe they're trying to keep a low profile. But there's so much money pumped into these races and so many sponsors. They want everybody in the world to know who they are and where they are. So there's a good chance that could be the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the one thing I'll tell you is, and trust me, I wish I could have been a Formula One driver, but the majority of these drivers are just little guys.
Yeah.
You're not going to see any 6-footers or 6'2" footers. They're going to be little, slim guys that are pretty well built because of the G-forces they experience in there. So, don't look for somebody standing way out in the crowd. They blend in pretty well.
Yeah. Dr. Detective, besides being a homicide detective and infiltrating the Cuban mob, is there a cooler profession in the world than being an F1 Formula One car driver?
Oh wow! So I can think of a couple of different things. I guess it depends what you define as cool. I guess,
Yeah,
right?
like,
But
what else would be as cool as being an F? Like, you're like at a bar and you make eye contact with a woman, and she looks at you and she's like, "What do you do?" And you're like, "Oh, I'm an F1 race car driver."
right,
I
maybe
th-
like
I
Astron. Go ahead.
Yeah, but what else? Like, what else is as cool as that? I don't know.
Maybe
I
like
mean,
Fighter
Yeah,
pilot.
astronaut,
fi-
maybe. Yeah, yeah. I've
yeah,
been to the
astronaut.
moon.
Yeah,
Right,
like maybe like if you're like the lead singer of Pearl Jam or something,
right,
right?
right.
Like that.
Yeah.
I guess.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I digress. Hold on. Brooks Houck pleaded not guilty to what the M word and tampering with evidence in the 2015 disappearance of his then girlfriend, Crystal Rogers. Thank you for that, Julie Frew. Here we go. This is the man accused of a murder. He looks awfully relaxed. I wonder if he's as relaxed, having spent a couple of days, a couple of years now behind bars. Here we go.
Well, the reason I ask is because there are some people that she's associated with that are telling us that she had made some tentative plans to leave, like looking at an apartment at that store above the apartment above the store. I'm just trying to figure out if that was something that was ancient history or if that was something that was more recent.
Well, that's news to me. I don't know anything about that.
So when you all, let's say the last time you all had discussed splitting up, she didn't discuss any specifics with you about moving to an apartment or anything like that. Just that you all were having some issues and you resolved it.
Say all that again.
Yeah.
Break your question. Break them down.
The last time that you all had that type of a disagreement, okay? The last time that there was the possibility that you might split up, did she specifically talk to you about moving out somewhere?
No, not anything that she's never had an isolated point saying, "Hey, I'm moving here or moving there." I don't recall anything like that.
Okay.
Sir.
That was my question.
All right.
Just if she had.
Well, sometimes I know that you all do this for a living. Sometimes I feel like when you ask me a question, you put so many things, and I'm thinking we need to dissect it a little bit so I can answer.
Real quick, Canine Catherine, who is a longtime friend of the show, and I consider her a friend even though we never met. She's pointing out, I believe I got this right, that Brooks Houck's cousin is in our chat. Oh, there you go. Tina Peak. This is all crazy. He's my cousin. He's guilty of so many things. He's a devil. Tina, do me a favor, if you don't mind. Email us, survivingthesurvivor@gmail.com. We're going to stay on this case. It's new to me, fairly new. But email us, survivingthesurvivor@gmail.com, and I would love to have you on our show, give you the platform to speak out, and hopefully, at the very least, we can find where Crystal Rogers is if we spread the word about this case. The numbers are ticking up. Fridays can be interesting days, but typically we'll have a lot more people watching. Maybe it's because we're asking for super chats for Space Coast's birthday. Who knows? But by the way, we're doing that. We're matching super chats today, something I don't think we've ever done before. But Space Coast is a special guy, and I don't mean like special in like, special in like a cool kind of way. So it's his birthday. It was Steve Cohen's birthday, and it's our way of thanking them. So here we go. This is the continued interview of Brooks Houck, and welcome to Brooks's cousin, who you just heard is she herself calling Brooks Houck guilty. That is a family member. Very interesting. And Crystal's mom is more than welcome, Paulie. If anyone has a direct contact to Crystal Rogers' mother, please have them reach out to me, survivingthesurvivor@gmail.com. This is a very interesting story, which I knew very little about. So I am learning. Here we go.
Each part specifically rather than put so, and I'm not, please, you have me for saying that to you. Put so much stuff in one. I want to break it down in a simplified, direct question rather than put so much information into one question, try to answer one and have a bunch of parts in one.
No, that's fine. If you need me
Thank you, Maury.
That's fine. What you did right there is just fine.
All right, I just want you to ask
it a different way or ask.
Because I want you helping me.
No,
all right, that's all right.
Fine. That's no.
I got to stop it here for 1 second.
Right.
I'm sorry, but Phil Ramos, it doesn't take a homicide detective to figure out that this dude is a bit arrogant and loves to talk.
Yeah.
You must, I mean, Phil, in your experience, you must love a guy like this who's like just won't shut up, right?
Yeah, you could tell he's getting defensive now, with his gestures and raising his voice and telling the detective how to do his job. So you keep that, you remember what set him off like that. And then you go on, how's the weather and stuff like that. And then you come back to it and see what his reaction is going to be again. And then once you realize that's a weakness, you work on that, because he's getting defensive and he's acting like the tough guy now because he's trying to throw the detective off and trying to, puff his chest and okay, now what do you got for me now?
Right.
Yeah. Someone also mentioned, Dr. Detective, that he's, I guess, self-made, but has a lot of money, which, could give him an air of maybe superiority in a way. But Dr. Detective, do you agree with Phil Ramos here? I mean, I would want to be like, please shut up. Like my mom yells at me enough. Don't talk to me so loudly and as much, but you can't really do that. But do you try to lead him into a trap where you just keep letting him talk?
So a couple things. Again, this guy, he's definitely arrogant. I agree with Phil all the way. There's a couple ways you approach that. So, clearly we can see he's trying to control the interview, like tell the detective what to ask him, phrase it differently. Again, that works to our advantage because depending upon whether this detective has another partner come in or not, this guy is definitely feels he's in control. So he's not intimidated. He's not in no way uncomfortable. He's basically comfortable, arrogant, cocky, all the above. But we'll see how it progresses.
There you go. All right, we're gonna keep playing it. I'll try not to butt in every 5 seconds, even though I always say that and I always do. Here we go.
Rolling up. We kind of already established the Kylie thing, but just so I'm clear on it,
All right.
you got home at somewhere between 5 and 5:30, probably closer to 5, right?
Yes, sir.
And Kylie was there?
I didn't go in the house at that time.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
No, I knew that whenever she was coming behind me, I knew that she was going to be there shortly. So what I did was I jumped on that little tractor. I knew I had a little bit of time, and I wanted to go up there and fill it up full of fuel, check, do all that kind of stuff, get my fuel levels right, so that I didn't have to stop. I've got, as you can tell when you look at that list, I got so much stuff to do. I don't have any unaccounted for time. I'm wide open.
Right.
If I stop for a few minutes, I go backwards, and I don't have time to do that.
So just so you didn't go inside, so you don't know if she was there when you arrived.
I don't know if she was there. She was riding with Crystal. I do not know.
And when you got back from gassing up the tractor, they were all there. Her and Eli and Crystal.
All four, yes.
Yeah, okay. And so all 4 of you were there. So during that time, the neighbor said she got home around 5:15, give or take.
That's right.
So from 5:15, and I think I mentioned to you that I see on the video that you all go past Circle K. You go past the storage place and Circle K all within a minute or so, about 5 minutes after 7, thereabouts, give or take a minute.
All right.
So let's say you left the house around 7 o'clock. Fair enough.
That's fine.
There's going to be a little bit of time, but I'm just generalizing. So she gets home about 5:15. You get back from the store. You all are there from, let's say, 5:30 to 7 o'clock together, the 4 of you. You ate dinner at home, I think you told me last time.
Yeah, we didn't fix nothing. I don't know what we ate. We didn't fix nothing fancy.
Right. Sandwiches.
Whatever we did.
You guys leave to go to the farm, but Kylie does not go with you.
That's correct.
She stays there waiting on Kathy.
Her Mamaw Kathy, her father's mother.
Yeah, Kathy Finley.
Yes.
Right.
Joel.
She stays there. You don't know what time she gets.
Dr. Detective.
Yeah, sorry to jump in here. So again, every detective has a different style, right? But he's kind of like almost testifying for the guy, right? Maybe you should ask the question and let him talk more open-ended, like, what did you do? What happened next? Just kind of telling them, this is what we know. This is what you did. This person was with you, but I don't know. Everyone has a different style. What do you think, Phil?
Yeah, well, Phil, that's a great point. I mean, you want to be leading, right, with open-ended, not leading, but you want open-ended questions, and this guy is kind of laying down in sort of in detail what they have.
Yeah, Troy's right. It's he's kind of giving in too much to him. He's got to start standing up for himself a little bit now because this guy's starting to dominate the conversation and take it over. So you don't want to let that happen unless he's giving you information that you want. Then you let him run at the mouth. But at some point, you got to pull the reins and slow his butt down, and you're the one that's in charge of the interview.
By the way, I don't know why I'm announcing this now. So I'm going to cover Diddy unless something drastic happens this week. I'm not going to go for jury selection because I have a feeling anytime I go to a trial, there's some kind of plea deal or something the first day. So I'm going to let jury selection play out. And if there are actually opening statements, I'll be there a week from Monday covering the Diddy trial with the global media. And I will outscoop everyone. And I will have, I don't know, Jay-Z and Diddy on the show somehow. We'll figure it out. But there you go. All right, here we go.
Picked up, but she's there when you all leave.
Yes.
Because that was one of the things, I think she got confused, Kylie, not Kathy. Kylie got confused about the time frames when I was talking.
But I can't speak on their.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm just trying to make sure I'm not confused.
All right. That's what you said is my understanding of it.
Okay. So you guys leave, you go, presumably you go out Bloomfield Road to Guthrie because you go past Circle K and not turning on Woodlawn Road. So you go out there, and then the next time I see you is when you pass Caddy Shack, the little restaurant there on 49. You go past there, and it's about the right amount of time for you to be traveling, you know. And then you get to the farm around, best I can figure out by the time frame on the video, is about 19 minutes after 7. So you're actually there, you know, roughly about 7:20. So
Okay.
so you get there. By the way, I twisted I guess it would be your aunt's arm to. We noticed they had the video cameras. That's why.
Yeah, that's fine. That's good.
So she actually helped you out with the time.
Good.
It showed you coming. Now I haven't watched the full days yet, so I don't know
Right.
anything about comings and goings. But I know you got there about 20 minutes after, and you left there about 11:55 thereabouts.
Right.
So during that time, from reading your statement, you left once and went down almost to Loretta Road and then turned around and came back because you decided the Tractor Supply might be closed, right?
Yes.
So that, you know, a little bit of time there. How long were you at the farm before you went to get feed and then came back, decided that it was too late? Do you remember roundabout?
It couldn't have been long.
Because you were going to feed the cows, right?
Yeah, it could have been probably more than, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes.
Okay. I'm just trying to get an idea so when I watch the video, you know, I can kind of look for when you're coming out and then you're going back in.
Yes.
And when you got to the farm, do you know if anybody was there other than your mom?
I don't know.
Okay. Did you see your mom when you came in?
No, we didn't. We didn't stop up there. We went straight down there we were going there to feed the cows.
Right.
So.
Well, yeah, but the barn's within eyeshot of the house.
But sometimes she might park inside. Sometimes she might not. So I don't know if.
Right. She got more than one vehicle.
She's got a little red truck, and she's got
I saw
a
that
white, and then
earlier.
she's got a white SUV.
Okay.
But I can't. That 15 to 20 minutes is as close as I can, and that's a guess. But I'd say it's pretty accurate.
She, I think your mom told me she had been mowing grass. Do you know if she was mowing when you got there, or
She's always outside doing such. She's more of an outside person than inside, but she likes to mow grass. Sometimes she'll mow it whenever it don't even need to be mowed. So, but no, I don't recall her mowing if she was mowing. But you know, there's a lot of area there that if she was mowing, that I could have pulled in and not seen her. But I don't believe she was mowing.
Yeah. Okay.
I just have a question because someone earlier, Phil Ramos, said that his brother is a police officer. Now, I'm not sure, for full disclosure, if it's the same jurisdiction, same department here, but let's just say hypothetically it is. What do you have to do in a situation like that if this guy who they're interviewing is literally brothers with a cop at the same department? I don't know that he is.
Well, if he is, then you just do extend the courtesy to the brother. Said, hey, you know, we got your brother here, and we're going to be talking to him, and the brother has to completely excuse himself out of that and not have anything to do with it at all because it's going to taint the investigation, and you can't have that. If he tries to get involved, if he says, well, I want to sit in on the interview, no, you can't. and just, we'll handle it. You stick to what you're doing. And I read somewhere where he was relieved of duty because he tried getting involved in this, which would be the right thing to do.
Yeah, and you see Emmy here letting us know it was the same department, but he was eventually fired, I guess, exactly for what Phil just said, which was intervening somehow. He did get involved, Tiger Lily's saying, and he did get fired. His name is Nicholas Houck. So there you go. There it is. So, yeah, I was just curious about that. Here we go. We're going to keep playing it here.
And it's not all that important. I'm just trying to get an idea of what was going on.
All right.
So there, I noticed when I was out there yesterday, I guess it was. So there's a bulldozer in the drive.
Mm-hmm.
There's a tractor, actually 2 tractors in the barn, right? There's a tractor with a bucket and a tractor that looked like maybe it was leaking hydraulic fluid. Maybe somebody
or an attachment.
Maybe an attachment.
All right.
So while you were out there Friday, did you operate any of that equipment to take care of the cows, or how do you normally?
No, I don't.
By hand?
Mm-mm. No, when you feed the cows, you just get the sweet feed and you holler for them. You shake a bucket, and because repetitious, they know to run. They know.
I don't know if you fed them hay.
Yeah, if you're talking about in the wintertime, you have to have a tractor that can handle. We don't do square hay. I mean, in the wintertime, we're going to have to handle a round bale,
right?
And that's done by tractor. We're not going to. You can roll one by hand. You got 4 or 5 guys, but I mean, we're not going to do that. We're going to take a tractor and.
Right, I'm talking about Friday. You didn't.
No.
Okay. So you just fed them out of the bucket to sweet feed, and.
Now, Aaron probably, he's out there raking hay and stuff. He might very well have done that. I don't know if it was Friday, but he's been out there the past 2 weeks doing hay. And I don't drive the equipment because that's not what I do. Aaron takes care of all that, and he bales the hay, he cuts it, he does all the mechanical work out there. And
now, who is Aaron?
The person that does all the work out there.
But I mean, is he related to you all, or is he a farmhand, or what is he?
Yeah, he's the city mechanic right up here for the city of Bardstown, the bus garage. Uh-huh. He does all the mechanics and does all the inspection reports for the city of Bardstown bus school system.
Right, but how is he connected to your family?
There's no blood relation. We graduated together in high school.
You and he did?
Yes.
Okay. And so does he get the hay off of your farm, or?
5 of the cows out there that are out there are his.
Oh, okay.
So what he does is, whenever you look at this paperwork, I've got so much stuff going on. I'm not a farmer. I enjoy farming, but I don't farm. So what he does is an added benefit to me. He takes care of all the fencing, all the labor, keeps the equipment running. If it's round bales or busting ice and stuff like that in the wintertime, he does all that. He's got the time. He gets off early at 3 o'clock in the day. So he will come out there, and he knows about the mechanics. I'm not a mechanic, so he'll go out there and cut all the hay and prepare for the winter. Gotcha. He uses his time to do all that, to use the grounds out there for his cows, because he's only got about 7 acres here in town, and he wants to keep growing and expanding. And a way to do that, I don't have time to bush hog and all that, so I would rather keep up with the grounds by letting somebody do that and participate and let them. I don't charge him no money.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Right.
So
I'm going to stop it there because this guy's giving me a headache. But Phil Ramos, I feel like this tractor he's talking about is basically just run loose, and he is the tractor just running down the road unmanned. At what point does this detective kind of need to take some control here and start directing this interview in a way that he needs to do so to get some answers about what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know what his tactic is on that. And what does any of this have to do with what you're trying to get at? Where is Crystal? And none of that has anything to do with it, unless he knows something that we have yet to discover, the detective, unless he knows, well, I know that all of what you've said is all a bunch of BS. That didn't happen, and this is how we know it. So, like Troy said earlier, we all have our own different techniques, the way we do interviews, but my personal view is that he's let it go too far. He's got to start getting direct and to the point and getting somewhere, because he's not getting anywhere with this rambling on.
Yeah. By the way, I didn't realize that one of the other deaths is apparently related to a police officer from this department prior to her going missing. And obviously they've never found Crystal Rogers' body either. So there is some, and now there's some people who are also pointing the finger at this guy's brother, who was a former police officer, about the death of Crystal Rogers' father. So this is very much like what's going on and a whodunit combined in, I guess, a more rural part of Kentucky. A lot of layers to this story. Dr. Detective, what about steering this conversation? It just seems like it's run amok at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Just look at the body language of not just the suspect, but the detective also, right? Our guy's pretty confident. He's arrogant still. Detective's kind of laid back. He's sitting back in the chair, kind of wondering, is he a little bit intimidated? Because this is pretty much a bigger guy, right? So, but it could be a tactic as well. So again, sometimes taking the softer approach works, but at some point he's got to bring it up to full speed or full circle as far as details and maybe some other direct questions.
This, by the way, is what the COE just texted to her friend about me. Sounds like a typical guy, just blabbers on, I grew up in Kentucky. And then you go to this. So part of this they're saying could be a custody battle, but then you hear a comment like this from Gilly or Jilly Kennedy. She knew too much about the death of a good officer, that officer we were just talking about. So again, this is an intriguing case, a lot of different avenues to go down. And here is the interview with Brooks Houck right after Crystal Rogers goes missing back in 2015. She's never been found. He was arrested, this guy, in 2023, and is waiting trial at the end of June of this year, coming right up.
Yes, it's a good trade-off. Gotcha. Absolutely.
Okay. But he wasn't there Friday. That you saw.
No, he wasn't there Friday night.
When you were there, right? Mm-hmm. Not before. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not before, but when you were there, he wasn't there. So you all fed the cows with the buckets, and watched them eat, and then you walked. Now, when you said you walked the road to the grab, you're talking about not just to the turnaround that goes
We walked to the back
to where the old county road goes to.
Where I put yes, exactly. Okay. Where the road gets a little harder. I mean, you can still drive a car on it, but there's a little bit of grass in the middle. But
right.
we
and that's what goes when you get to the
cul-de-sac at the top of it.
Right. If you get to the turnaround here,
this
the
house is right here in the bar
there. It goes
right here is where and it goes back there far. And there's 3 big pens back through there. There's 3 separate fields where we rotate the pasture and stuff.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. And you said you walked from field 1.
Yeah, let me just make it real clear for you. You can put this in your paperwork or whatever.
Yeah, well.
I didn't write that, but
no, I drew it out for somebody else.
This is the barn. And then, of course, the fence does something like this.
Right, kind of gives an angle off Mom's place.
And then it goes all the way back. So somewhere right in here, this is a double gate. This is where we go in. Right here is where we enter the field, because this is barbed wire, And then over here is kind of an octagon's 8, but it ain't 8. This is like a pen out here that we can move, and there's some trolley and stuff in here. And then I think right here, that field separates and then there's another gate right here. So this is number 1, and then way up here, this is number 2, and then number 3 goes a far piece back through there. Right. So we go through this gate, and then the gate from 2 to 3, the other gate's up here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's more food in field number 3 than there are on these other 2, because these 2 are 8 down close. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times, and it's cooler, back there in them ravines and hollers for the cows than if they're on this flat land, and they would rather stay cooler and eat back there. And there ain't a big pond back there, but there's a little pond for them for a water supply too right now. So more often than not, they go back there in that third field, but like later in the evening, a lot of times we're consistent at the times, and sometimes we're not. But a lot of times in the evening, they'll drift up here thinking they're going to get some feed.
Right, coming for the sweet feed. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you all, when you all went for the cows, though, I think.
Yeah, we went in this gate right here, and then we walked all the way back
through. So because they weren't up in field one.
Yeah.
Okay. So you fed the cows. What else did I read there? Sorry. Make sure.
I love cows. I could sit and watch a cow for hours. Love horses too.
Yeah, interesting point about the posture now.
Mm.
There's something about the field familiarity of the area.
You fed the cows, and then you come back out and you walked the road, right? The road that goes to
Yeah, after we come back out from walking up through here, then we walk out to here, there's another. Did I see your pin again?
Mm-hmm.
So there's another. It ain't exactly straight, but it looks something like this.
That's the driveway.
Yeah, this driveway to the barn.
Uh-huh. Right.
And then we walk out the road and we just walk back through there.
And how long would you say that road goes back into there? Do you know? If you had to guess.
I don't know. I bet it's a good mile.
From
right
the
here.
barn to the end of that road and back. So a couple mile walk going to and from.
Yeah, if you go, because there's a cul-de-sac right here. There's also a cul-de-sac I put in up here, and then there's a third cul-de-sac at the very end, back creek back there in the very back.
Oh, okay. Okay. But you think it's about a mile, maybe a
I
little
would
more,
say
a little less.
close, yeah.
So you walked to the end of there and came back. Did y'all do any work on the barn or anything while you were there?
No, we didn't do no work on
Okay.
the barn.
Didn't work on the driveway or anything like that?
Mm-hmm.
The dozer, the reason I ask is because the dozer that's sitting there, did somebody use that to put that driveway in or put rock on that driveway recently, or?
No, on Saturday I moved it over there. It was parked. That doze, I've got a skid steer also broke down.
Right.
I've got a skid steer right here with some weeds growing up around it.
Yeah.
And then I had a dozer. The dozer right here.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, I backed it right across here. Right here. And there's been a water coming in the front. There's a big door right here in the front of the barn.
Mm-hmm.
And water had been going in the front of it right here. And then I moved, and I wanted to. She's always complaining about, my mother is always complaining about the trash and rubble that she likes to keep everything neat, and she likes to keep the grass mowed short. But I'm not going to pay a high bill to take that stuff to the county dump when I can clean it up easy. It's too much to do all at once, but I can. Every time I come out there, I can throw a match on it or burn a little pile. Eli likes to roast marshmallows. So what I do, and we spend so much time out there, what I do is put a pile, and I'll light a little piece of it on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then that way I don't have a huge fire, but I've got enough that I'm constantly getting rid of some, and then they won't charge me that high density fee out there at the dump. So I'm going to take all this equipment, this skid steer too. I just haven't drug it over there yet. And then all these trailers where the weeds are high, I'm going to try to get it on both sides of these doors, just to get it out of there.
Did you burn anything Friday night when you were out there?
Yeah, yes, it's not uncomfortable. I don't want the stuff piled up to the moon. I always light a fire. There was a little pile, probably, I'll write that on there. right here with this little pile here. I think y'all may have covered it up. Y'all got
I think we did.
slung stuff everywhere, but
Yeah, I apologize. That
it don't matter.
Well, the dog, that lady's dog, she said acted like there was something under there.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. So I had a water problem right there, and I'm in the process of getting that right there fixed. We dug out.
Go ahead, Dr. Detective.
So yeah, interesting points he's making, and the detective's kind of chiming in on the dog. Thought there was something there, maybe the neighbor's dog. So a lot of good key points, but it's interesting how familiar he is with everything, and he's cleaning up, so he could be very well covering him being in a certain area or just trying to. He's still manipulating the conversation, though. We know that, right? So Phil, what do you think about his?
Yeah. And I was going to ask you, Phil, because he just mentioned the detective did a dog that someone thought noticed something, I guess, under a porch or whatever it was. And this guy just talked right over it. And it doesn't sound like the detective circled back to it. I mean, that seems like a pretty significant thing. We all know dogs are always right. Is that something you have to circle back to?
Yeah, you got to do that. And it's well into the conversation by now. You're 20, 25 minutes into it, so he needs to be getting a little bit further than he is. But why he's still letting him dominate the conversation, maybe we'll see in a little bit, or maybe he's just not that experienced in murder investigations. I mean, this is a small town, small community, so they probably don't have a whole lot of murders there, except for the ones associated with his family.
Right.
So,
which is a lot. Phil Ramos, off the top of your head, what I mean, I know it's a difficult question over 30 plus years, but what's the longest interview you recall doing?
Longest one I've done was about an hour and a half. I know guys have done 4 or 5 hour interviews, but it doesn't take that long to get a confession. So
I was going to say that's effective. I mean, that's short. I was expecting you to tell me like 9 hours or something, but an hour and a half. Yeah, wow.
No, because you run into too many problems with that. I mean, you hear all the time when there's interviews of that length. You hear defense attorneys and the subjects of the interview saying, "Look, I was so tired. I just told them what they wanted to hear. I just wanted to get out of there."
Yeah.
So once you set the hook and you start reeling it in, then get it into the boat. But I'm still waiting to hear. I love the South. We have family in Atlanta, and I'm still waiting to hear the proverbial, "Well, bless his heart." How they say that down there.
Yeah, that's coming.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
Troy, how about you? What's your longest interview?
Probably about hour and a half, 2 hours. That was the Stanley Ford interview. Actually sitting in the front of my DB car with him. So
that's the arsonist.
That is the serial arsonist. Yeah, and he kept talking, so we had a conversation under Miranda as well. So
there you go. We have a video of that. This is an arsonist. I think 9 people died. Am I right about that, Troy?
That's correct. Yes, plus a family pet dog. Yes.
Oh, wow, horrible. All right. This is Brooks Houck being interviewed about his still missing girlfriend, then girlfriend Crystal Rogers. 2015 is when she went missing. He's going on trial for murder at the end of June.
I am right there in front of that door trying to let a vein of water come out because it's too low, the slab is.
And that was Saturday?
That was Saturday when I did that.
Do you remember what time Saturday you got out there?
Mm-hmm.
Was you before lunch, after lunch?
Oh yeah, it was well before lunch. It wasn't. It was morning time, but it wasn't early morning. It wasn't late morning. It was about mid morning.
So you had a little fire. When was that? After you took your walk or before you took your walk?
I lit it. I don't know if I lit it right before we took off walking. I know we fed the cows first because I want to do that as quickly while we had still plenty of daylight. I don't know if I lit the fire before we walked back here or right when I got back. I could have done it either one. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm. So you lit the fire. I'm assuming then you probably don't leave until the fire burns out. Would you leave it burning? I don't know. I generally don't like to walk.
Yeah, but if it's just bad at coals,
I mean, it's not like burning.
I wouldn't leave if I thought there was any danger. Not when especially when I got all this equipment and barn and stuff there. But I mean, if it's died down and it's just a big bed of coals, I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah.
You know, especially if it's not in August or September when everything's just perfectly dry. It wasn't.
We had plenty of rain.
Yeah, and the ground's wet and dew's on. Yeah, it's not a big deal. To me, I'm not a firefighter, so.
But you definitely moved the dozer on Saturday.
Yeah, I moved the dozer on Saturday.
Is there a septic system with that barn?
There is.
Okay.
It's never been hooked up. There's never been a toilet put on there. But I tell you who put it in there. And he can tell you exactly how 100% it was. It's Casey Ballard.
Casey Ballard did.
Mm-hmm.
And Casey Ballard, is that her?
That's her brother.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. So he put the septic. Is there like an opening somewhere where you can access it?
Oh yeah.
Maintenance and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Where would that be at?
There's a big pole out in the middle of this in field number 1 right here.
Uh-huh.
There's a great big pole like this right here.
Uh-huh.
That marks the end of it. It's got one big ladder, big pipe on it, and it's marked out there so somebody don't crush it with a tractor.
So the opening for the top of the septic tank?
No, the top,
You're talking about the lateral line?
Yeah, that just daylights out.
Right.
There's a big, underneath that, right where this fence is right there,
Uh-huh.
there's a big round lid right here.
Okay. Next to fence for field 1. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And how long has that septic system been there? I noticed the work
Probably
kind of ongoing.
Probably about 3 years, 3 years. I just never did finish that barn, because I've had so much other stuff going on. But in that barn, I've kind of got a little.
Yeah, I thought we were putting the cedar plank.
I never got done with it, but I'm close to getting it done. I just never made it that far.
Right.
But yeah, the right where that little plumbing, that little bathroom is, right on the outside of the barn. There's a big a septic tank right there, and then there's a great big long piece of pipe right here, a bleeder valve, and then it's marked by there's a big pipe. There's an iron T-post out in the middle of this field, and then I took a piece of PVC pipe that's weather resistant, and I just slid over top. It would stop the post from rusting, and it's also much taller than the grass, so that if the grass did get up real high, somebody wouldn't hit it with a bush hog, or anyone would hit it with a mower or something like that.
All right, so you guys you've taken your walk. The fire is down, maybe not out, but it's down enough, and you're leaving. And it looks, again, looking at the video, looks like it's about 5 minutes till midnight.
All right.
That's to me, and I've got a couple of kids, but everybody parents a little differently. To me, it seems a little late to be out on the farm with a 2.5-year-old. Where is he at midnight? Has he been asleep in the car for a while? Is he still?
No, he's still wide open, and he'll.
Really?
And any night he's so used to sleeping so later in the morning. His normal day, that's his 7, 8 o'clock in the evening. Really? 11, because she sleeps much later in the morning. She stays up. So and it's always been that way.
So he's midnight.
He's wide open.
Okay. So you guys get back and load up in the truck. Load up in the truck, and you drive back. You leave out. I see you leave out the driveway at about 11:55. Somebody passes you on the drive back on Loretta Road about 10 minutes after midnight or so. He says, roughly. We're still kind of narrowing that down, but roughly sees you about 10 after midnight, which wouldn't be uncommon. It's been raining most of the day. Roads are kind of wet. 15 minutes from your mom's house to the golf course. There's Caddyshack. Not a big deal there. And so do you remember, or did you go straight home on Friday night, or did y'all stop somewhere? Or, because I'm thinking if that's their normal 7, 8 o'clock in the evening, it might be dinner time. Did you stop and eat something, or did you go straight home?
We did not eat anything. I went straight home.
Okay. So you went straight home. So if we assume that he's correct in about 10 minutes after midnight, another 10 minutes to the house or so. So you
Yeah, I don't see it being that late. I mean, if that's what some of the things say, I guess you'd have to kind of go by that. But yeah, we didn't stop anywhere. We went straight home.
Okay. So you could feasibly be home by 11:30. You could be home. That,
I feel like it.
Which is what you told me. You thought,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm sorry, not 11:30, 12:30. You could feasibly be home by 20 minutes after 12 if he
All right.
passes you at 10 minutes after 12.
All right.
I may have completely missed this, so I apologize if I'm about to ask a dumb question. But and Dr. Detective, I'll start with you. Did he not ask any questions about like what was she wearing the last time you saw her? Where do you think she is? Like, it seems like there's no focus on her being missing, and this is right after she goes missing. I just feel like my line of questioning, if I was a detective, would be based on her. I mean, not necessarily like even if you think at this early point that it's a homicide, which I don't know if they did or not, you'd still want to find her, and I feel like he hasn't even really gotten there yet. Is that a problem?
Well, again, it sounds like he's starting to get more into timeline and what did you do, where'd you go? Again, it did take a while, but he wanted to let the guy talk, obviously, or didn't have a choice. But it sounds like he's going to get more into, let's talk about Crystal. What were you doing? Like you just mentioned, 10 minutes to get to the house. So hopefully gets more into the direct things and questions about that, clothing and so forth, and what you do when you got home, or so we'll see what happens here.
All right. And by the way, there's a change of venue here for this trial, and I believe someone's asking. I believe it's televised, but I don't know for sure. So let us know. I'll keep playing it out, and then we'll give Ramos the next word.
Right.
Which is a little off from what you originally told me, and you just said I still think it's a little off, but we'll go with what the camera says as opposed to memory, because sometimes memory is not that great.
All right.
And I checked the time on her camera, and I'm allowing for about a 9-minute gap there between what my watch says and what her camera says.
All right.
So which puts you leaving there about 11:55, which, again, 15 minutes to Caddyshack is not terribly bad in the rain. So it could have been that he passed you at 10 minutes after midnight, putting you home roughly 20 minutes after 12.
All right.
Fair enough?
Yes.
So you guys get home 20 minutes after 12. Right there, thereabouts. I think you said you went to bed first. Do you remember about how long you were home before you went to bed?
I went to bed immediately.
So when you guys got in, you went and did your nightly routine, and you're going to bed. I think you told me that she stayed up, and Eli, did he stay up as well?
He was.
And where was she at?
If there's any activity going on in the house, he doesn't want to go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
If everybody turned the lights out and we just got in the bed, he's going to follow us in there and lay down with us. But if I go to bed and she stays up, he's not going to come in there to bed till all the lights are out and then she goes to bed. If I was doing something like that and she was in the bed, he's going to stay up with me until the lights are out until I go in there. Do you see what I'm...
Sure.
Yeah. So that's what
so he's going to stay up with mom. Right. So, and before you went to bed, or any conversation, I know you told me that you all had a conversation Friday evening sometime about the kids. We'll talk about that in a minute, but you said you all talked about the kids Friday evening. Does that conversation bleed over to when you get home, or is that conversation done?
No, whenever I got home, I went to bed. I mean, it was relatively, quickly when I got in there.
Okay.
The conversation does not bleed over.
Okay.
Thank you,
So
Kim.
you go to bed, she stays up. What's she doing?
She's just on her phone, playing. I don't know what game, but she normally plays a game.
Right.
Some kind. She's got several of them on there, but I don't know which one.
Okay. So she's on her phone, messing around, doing
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And you go to bed. Do you know what time Eli came to bed, or she put him into bed?
I don't know. I normally go to bed earlier than that. So when I went to sleep, I'm a pretty heavy sleeper. I wouldn't have noticed, if he crawled in there,
So you said you're a pretty heavy sleeper. So your phone is getting phone calls. I can see it on your phone logs before 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning. Do you hear that going off? Do you normally keep it in there?
Yeah, but I don't have to. At that time, I've got an alarms on my phone at 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock. Sometimes I've got them at 4 and at 7. But my alarm most mornings goes off. I always have it for 6 and 7. But I'll wake up before my alarm goes off. But yeah, it's not uncommon for me to get calls really early in the morning.
So what time do you think you got up on Saturday morning?
I probably woke up around, in between that time, like 6 or 7 o'clock, and then I left. I did my normal thing, changed my clothes, put my clothes on, and headed out. Shortly after that,
Well, I'm sorry, I forgot to ask you something. There, on the phone records, there appears to be a phone call around midnight.
All right.
On Friday night, Saturday morning.
All right.
I'm talking about on your way home, basically.
All right.
Do you know who that person was that called you around midnight? Do you remember taking a phone call?
Can you just call the number back? I don't.
I mean, I could. I could.
What's
I
your
could
phone
look at the phone.
Yeah, look at my phone, but I don't remember.
You don't
that.
remember getting a phone call on the way home?
Mm-hmm.
Would it be unusual for you to get a phone call at midnight? I mean, it is for me, and I work for the sheriff's office. I get called quite regularly.
Some of the people that do the tile for me, I wouldn't put it past them to call me at any time. They lay brick through the day, and then they're tile my houses at night. The Thomases I wrote on there, Derek and his brother Tyler Thomas, they'll call me at any time. And I've got even if it's just one day, I don't pay them people by the job. They got to get paid by the hour, and then when they get done with it, I pay them.
Right.
That's just what we've agreed on. But yeah, those folks there call me any hour.
It was a pretty short phone conversation. Is the only reason I asked.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of unusual to get a 13-second phone conversation at midnight. It is for me. It may not be for you. But,
all right. Well, just check it out. Yeah. Check it out. That's right.
I'm sorry. Was that you, Troy?
Well, yeah, we could talk about it. I think I was just kind of like paying attention, but that is a key point there. That call is very very important.
Yeah.
And we'll see if he just kind of stays on that. Maybe he already knows where it came from or the origin. But yeah, that's going to be a key point.
Yeah, and Phil Ramos, there was a question earlier about his copious note taking. Thank you to Kim for today's, well, not today, but Space Coast birthday is this weekend, and we're matching super chats today, and we'll gotta take care of Steve Cohn as well. But Deb V, thank you as well. But someone was asking about his copious. There you go. This investigator seems to be taking a lot of written notes. Phil Ramos, curious what the panel thinks in terms of if that's needed on these particular points. Would they be taking so many written notes? So what's going on in this notepad?
Well, I don't think it's going to be a matter of that he needs it, because you've got the audio and the video right there to refer to directly, but he might be taking notes on things that this guy is saying that he wants to go back to, or that he knows the answers to already. So that could be one of two things. It's certainly not anything that is he absolutely has to have for the interview for a successful prosecution, because you've got the interview right there. But this guy might be giving him little bits of information that he didn't have before, so he's trying to memorialize those so he doesn't lose them in his train of thought when he goes back and when he starts getting more direct. Hopefully that is coming.
Yeah, and
Right.
Phil, what about these more direct questions about that I asked Ramos about? Dr. Detective Troy Looney before about, it doesn't seem like he's been grilling too much about, what was she wearing? What was she doing? What was her, what was her temperament like? Did she get upset? Did you guys have a fight? All these usual questions that you hear like one after the other. Doesn't seem like he's really done that, considering this is at this point a missing persons case.
Yeah, and that might be his plan to work into that to get him comfortable. But this guy's not getting comfortable with him. He's not getting establishing a rapport with the guy. The guy's still being very aggressive and arrogant with him. So um, by now, I would think that look, that technique isn't going to work. So change your strategy to something else that, because this guy isn't going to start giving things up that you want him to give up without a fight. He's
Right.
I expect him to get a little more defensive once the direct questions start, and the body language and his tone will bear that out.
Yeah, Bundy data, talking about data here. He's very specific about the driveway and cattle setup, machine, water supplies, curves, poles, septic tank, fence on, and even time and temperature. He's got a lot of details. I did notice when they got to like what time did you wake up that day and like what did you do next? The way he's making this direct eye contact right now, he looked away, like it was a very to me very obvious, like he looked down and looked away, almost like he was trying to hide something. So that's my best Dr. G impersonation, but I noticed that myself. So here we go. We'll keep playing this out here.
So Saturday morning, you wake up sometime between 6 and 7. I think we decided that Danny Singleton, is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
A guy that works for you, was calling you and called you pretty frequently. You said sometimes you give him and send him to work on Saturdays,
Yeah.
and that may have been why he was calling you. So
Okay,
did you go do some work Saturday morning before you
Hold it up,
went to
Phil.
your mom?
All right. Go ahead, Phil.
That was his first defensive posture that he just made when he went like that.
Right.
Because the detective started asking a little pointed question, and his reaction was, "Oh, okay, wait a minute. Where are you going now?"
And
Right.
and when and Phil Ramos, when you see that, what do you do?
You make note of it, what it was you said that caused him to be defensive, because he relaxes shortly thereafter. So you make note of that and remember what it was, and then you circle back to it after you get him a little more farther down the road, and because all this stuff he's doing right now is just trying to throw the detective off the track. He's just trying to get him to look north instead of south, and it's all just a bunch of fodder in my view. So. He hit a point. He hit a nerve right there. That's why the guy reacted defensively like that. So keep that in mind and circle back to it sooner rather than later.
Josephine Santamoro, hope you're feeling better. She had a series of strokes a little while ago. She's an ER nurse in Westchester, New York, and given a super sticker. Still generous, very generous, and we appreciate that. And we're going to match it for Space Coast's birthday here. So look at this. I love watching these interviews. Thanks to SCS and Best Guests. We're kind of making this sort of regular thing on Fridays. There are a lot of high-profile police interviews and trials coming up, and who better to break these down than the detectives. Now, I also have Phil Ramos, thanks to you and Dr. Detective Troy Luna. I can guarantee you at some point tonight, I'm going to say to my soon-to-be 6-year-old son, why are you suddenly taking a defensive posture, son? What do you have to hide from me? And I'm going to interrogate him. I'm turning my whole life into true crime. Fred Brown, when we are not home, he is ushered into the SHU, solitary housing unit. That is his crate. It has a sign on it that says, "Welcome to San Quentin." He knows to go in there. So I've got a prison cell. And I should set up an interrogation room. I think I'm going to do that next, and I'll bring the kids in there one at a time so they cannot get their stories straight, and I will interview them in that room anytime there's an issue. All right, here we go. Learning.
No, I didn't. I didn't do any other work on Saturday morning. That's where I went out there to the barn.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly what time I got out there, but that's what I had done.
Mm-hmm. So you get up between 6 and 7, and where's Eli at when you wake up?
He's next to me.
He's in the bed with you.
Mm-hmm.
So you get up. Does he get up with you?
He's still asleep
Still
whenever I get up, but I go to the bathroom and all that kind of stuff, and he's still sleeping there on the bed.
Mm-hmm. And so when you wake up, he's there, but Crystal's not.
She's not.
Okay. And so did you try to call her or?
Yes, I noticed that she wasn't there. I didn't know exactly what to think. I don't know what time I called her. Yes, I called her that morning.
I mean, did you call her before you left the house to go to the
I
farm?
don't remember what time I called her.
But do you remember where you were at? Were you at home or were you at the farm? Or you were on the way to the farm? I don't know, somewhere in between.
I don't recall. I don't know.
That's fair enough. So you, before you go to the farm, you feed Eli breakfast?
I did not before we got there. I normally get those squeezable yogurts, got all them vitamins and minerals and stuff in it,
Mm-hmm.
and he likes to eat stuff like that for breakfast, and it's easy. He can do that in his car seat or whatever he's got to do.
So you think he was eating on the way to the farm?
I don't think he was. I know he was.
Okay.
Now, how much of the yogurt he ate, I don't know.
I'm not worried
Joel?
about that. It's not a question of what he ate or how much he ate.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so interesting point there. When he kind of got a more direct question, then backed off of it, and then him looking at his phone. So we've had times where we watched the interviews of detectives in the room, and we'll literally text them questions. Hey, ask this, or go back to this, or for whatever reason, or we'll just knock on the door and say, hey, I need you for a minute, and have him step out.
Oh, that's interesting. All right. Yeah, this I can feel the tide turning a little bit here, where he's starting to actually interrogate a little bit more, and they're now arguing a little bit over the yogurt. So let's keep paying attention.
Oh yeah.
I'm just trying to establish.
Well, he's a healthy boy.
I had behavior from that weekend, and here's why. And I'll be honest with you. I have been all along. Will continue to be. If I woke up on a Saturday morning and my wife wasn't with me in the bed, as is normal, which might not be normal for you, I don't know. But for me, it would be normal, particularly if my wife's a late sleeper, which mine is as well on Saturdays, for her to be there in the bed when I get up. So if she were not, probably the first thing I would do would be to call her to find out where she was.
But what you're not aware, what you're missing is a lot of times that her and Brooke, her sister, or Sabrina, a lot of these girls that they do all these, they go out and do stuff. Sometimes they do these, this is going to be embarrassing for me to talk to you about, but I'm wanting to get everything cleared up as quickly as I can. They do these fantasy parties. Mm-hmm. All these girls get together. They talk about and do whatever. And it's not uncommon for them, when they go out and party, they stay out the better part of the night, mm-hmm. if not the whole night. So, and of course, I always have the children, during that. They don't take the kids to that. Matter of fact, I take care of some of their other children while they're the ones going. It's not uncommon because they know I don't get into all that stuff, and they know that I'm a man, don't get me wrong. Understand that, a white-blooded American male. And there's no sense, I'm not telling you anything different, but they do all these parties and order all this stuff. Well, who gets the kids? I'm good enough to get the kids for all this, and I'm a good enough person to do that. And then when everybody sees a little bit of distress, they're going to throw me under the bus.
This guy's not a male chauvinist, whatever. COE, I have a question for you. What is a fantasy party that these women are having? What the hell's going on here in Kentucky?
Come on, man. You know what those are.
He did say something, Phil Ramos, that would have irritated the crap out of me if I was a detective. Something along the lines of, you don't understand, or you don't get it, or something. When someone says that to you, it was about this fantasy party, because he's like, normally I'll see my wife in the morning, and he's like, you don't understand. They have these fantasy parties. I don't know. How do you, I guess my question is this, how do you keep your emotions in check in the interview room? Because one of the things I was telling people that I learned about you guys is you don't let your ego get in the way. In other words, if this happened like at a Walgreens and the guy said to me, "You don't understand," I'd be like, "Yo, let's go. Let's throw down. I'm gonna slap you." But you can't do that. But what do you do when someone basically is that an in for you, I guess,
Yeah.
to kind of like pick at it and irritate him some more to get him to talk even more?
Yeah, that's exactly what you do because you touched a nerve on the bad guy there, and you sometimes you make comment about it, sometimes you just save it, and sometimes you just circle back to it. I've seen guys say, "Oh, I didn't mean to upset you. Did I say something to piss you off about something?" And then see how he
Right.
responds to that, or you just let it go and then come back to it and see if you get the same reaction. But yeah, when they say, "No, you don't understand," now they're being very defensive. That's a classic defensive characteristic when you say something like that. So he's starting to wear him down a little bit. And if you notice, this guy has toned down the volume of his voice, and he's done a lot of this head turning and looking down. So the detective is starting to get somewhere now.
Yeah.
Finally.
Right.
Ramos, we figured this out. The COE, my fantasy party would be sleeping in bed alone in darkness for 10 hours, no calls, no barking, no whining. Who the hell whines? What if fantasy, maybe with a fresh latte waiting? Bo Hobo, we're giving us the real. By the way, shout out to my father's alibi. I love having new members, new names, and I like that name. Bo Hobo. Now imagine if we had a party with lingerie and quote unquote toys. That would be I'm going to tell you guys the story in 4 seconds. I've told it before, but it's worth it. It's just such a perfect segue. So we moved from New York City to Washington, D.C. when I was with Fox News. And I'm a bit immature and I'm a huge fight fan. So I collect like collectibles, like bobbleheads and stuff, like fighters and, that kind of thing. And someone packed those in New York, and there were like 2 giant boxes, like big boxes, like Florida past the hip. And whoever marked them as adult toys. And then we had movers who unloaded in DC, and these movers were it was like a group of 5 guys, and they look at it and they're like, adult toys? What's going on in this family? Like, and it was
Wow.
and they were like giant boxes. I was like, you guys don't get it. Now you guys
Well,
get it. The movers didn't get it.
there's a kind of a joke trend going around right now where on the box you put pre-used adult toys.
Oh,
Or
boy.
previously used toys. And you're like, oh, no, wait a minute.
All right. Back to the interview on that one. Here we go. Women and their fantasy parties. Unreal. Here we go.
They need to re-examine all these other actions, and I can understand the family wanting to vent and stress, and it makes perfect sense to me. But these people know me better than what's going on. And before this is all over and done with, you all are too. But it bothers me because not only have I been a victim, my mind's not even where it should be because I'm trying to protect Eli from this. And he's the most important person that I'm trying to protect. I don't care about them dragging my name through the mud right now because I want to keep the main focus and emphasis on bringing her back safely and as quickly as possible. But it really
That was interesting to me. I don't know why, but Dr. Detective Troy Looney, when he said that, he's like, his whole tenor changed. My interest is it was on, and he was like saying it almost like he doubted himself. I'm gonna see if I can bring this back.
Exactly, yeah. And he couldn't say her name.
Yeah, so I probably just took it back way too far. COE.
When I left, I did my normal thing, changed my clothes, put my clothes on, and headed out. Shortly after that,
I'm I'm sorry, I forgot to ask you something.
I definitely took it too far
There-
back, but it'll
On the
come up.
phone records, there appears to be a phone call around midnight
All right.
on Friday night, Saturday morning.
All right.
I'm talking about on your way home, basically.
Shit.
All
Okay,
right.
sorry. Took it back way too
I know that
far.
his mother's going to take care of him, and now where am I at without that love and support from her?
Mhm.
Now I've got a little boy who's 2, who's going to grow up his life. If something's not done where she's not brought back safely, now one of the very most important people in his life, he's got to grow up without.
Oh.
You see what
Thank
I'm
you,
saying?
Alibi.
And I'm in here answering a bunch of
All
Wow.
right. Say that one more time, Phil. I actually missed that because I was.
Yeah, he's already talking about her in the past tense. Here's a little
Right.
2-year-old boy that's going to grow up and boom.
Mm.
Now now the detective's got to run with that, because you don't say that. She's been gone,
Right.
what, 12 hours, and you're not out there helping the cops look for her. And now you're talking about her in the past tense, or the little boy. So here's a 2-year-old boy that's going to grow up. That's a big
Right.
red flag right there.
It's like,
Yeah, let me play this out real quick again, because I was bringing up a comment. Here we go. And
Yes.
I'll stop it.
You all are too, but it bothers me because not only have I been a victim, I can't even, my mind's not even where it should be, because I'm trying to protect Eli from this, and he's the most important person that I'm trying to protect. I don't care about them dragging my name through the mud right now, because I want to keep the main focus and emphasis on bringing her back safely and as quickly as possible.
But that's where he pauses and like doesn't believe I want to bring her back, and he's just like slows everything down. But
it really bothers me what's being done in the method that everybody's pursuing and doing, because what's going to happen is I don't want their apology. I don't want nothing from them. But then after this is all said and done, they're going to sweep it under the rug, and then they're just going to forget about what they've done to me in the process. Mm-hmm. What I've got to be faced with now is, as good a mother as Crystal's been, now nobody's going to love you like a mother. Now Eli is in an atmosphere where I've got all the hope in the world, but now I'm a single parent, it appears to me, where she's been there 100% of the time for him to raise and rear him, where I know that he didn't have to go to a daycare or a babysitter, and I know that his mother's going to take care of him. And now where am I at without that love and support from her? Mm-hmm. Now I've got a little boy who's 2, who's going to grow up his life. If something's not done where she's not brought back safely, now one of the very most important people in his life, he's got to grow up without.
Right.
Ramos, is that almost like an admission? He said, now I'm going to be a single. Of course, it's all about him. And by the way, Bluegrass points that out. This is all about him and his issue. Who's going to take care of this kid now? Because she was taking care of him. How am I going to take him to daycare? I'm busy trying to kill my next girlfriend or whatever. But is it almost like an admission when you slip into past tense? I mean, what? Yeah, you and Phil Waters are definitely as, seasoned as they come. So the minute he puts her in the past tense, what do you do at that moment?
Well, now you just set the hook. Now you start dragging it in, and I think Troy's got a little more qualification to speak to that psychological reaction than I do. What do you think, Troy?
So again, a couple things as he mentioned. He's mentioned a single parent. What she's been, as you said, past tense. He's talking about, of course, himself. I'm going to have to grow up a single parent. Just again, it's definitely a hook. It's time to go in, and I would move in closer and say, well, what do you mean, single parent, and what do you mean if she's not brought back, or if something happened? What do you think happened? What do you tell me more? So it's time to get a little more aggressive.
All right, let's see if
it up.
Yeah, let's see if it happens. We're going to go like another 15 minutes with this, and then I'm going to do some quick stories, and then we'll call it a Friday. But here we go.
You see what I'm saying? And I'm in here answering a bunch of bullshit that I'm doing the best that I can possibly do with, but it's taking a lot of energy and effort away from the other efforts that could be out there trying to help and bring her back here safely. I can't even go out on the side of the road without looking like a murder or something like that. It's wrong. I've been extremely honest with you all, and now I'm up here doing, they can have the house, y'all take anything that you want. You don't need any of that paperwork or search warrants. And now I'm up here trying to get my head where I can be on the side of being able to protect myself and defend myself for my son whenever I'm the one that's, I feel like, has the largest loss.
Yeah.
So do what you got to do. I'll do whatever I can, but this is starting to get silly. I don't need an attorney. I haven't asked for an attorney. I don't need none of that. I'm innocent. I'm willing to talk to whoever. But this to me is really starting to get silly, because I feel like, I don't have a Facebook page. I don't have time to get on the internet. I don't know a lot about computers. Crystal did all that for me. I didn't have to do it because that's something else that she always took care of. So now I have people coming back to me telling me that they're completely trashing me online for the home media. You know, I've taken 17 years of my life, and I feel like I've worked hard to get a good education. I've worked hard all these years. I've built a nice life for me and my family, and now my whole family's name is trashed for something that's completely not even tied to me. That's where I'm at right now. So I'm extremely upset.
Go ahead.
He's literally whining right now. I think he's even upset visibly. But yeah, he keeps saying she took care of it, not that she takes care of my social media. So again, time to move in to be more aggressive. And maybe this will be helpful for the FBI, of course, obviously moving forward now as they have.
Yeah, and this is an amazing point. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I was thinking the same thing as Mr. Man here, Phil Ramos. Innocent of what? He said it was a declarative statement. I'm innocent. Well, if no crime was committed and she just left, same exact, what are you innocent of? So, I mean, these are, right. I assume, Phil, that this resonated with you as well.
Yeah, and then the I don't need an attorney comment. Why would you need an attorney in the first place?
Right. You said the M word too, right? You said yeah.
Getting more and more interesting. We're going to keep going again. Another 15 minutes of this, and then we'll wrap it up.
I've heard over it. I try to put on a tough shell and bubble and move forward. It's extremely difficult to get up in the morning and push on and look at Eli and know that here I've got a million things going on that I have to get done. And then who's going to suffer? He is. And it's not right. I'm ready to hire an auctioneer to sell all this stuff so I can be there for him, like Chris.
Just give him a tissue.
Yeah.
There you go. He's ready to give it up.
What else do you want to know?
Take a minute. It's all right.
No,
it's fine to be upset. I understand. It's fine to be mad. I understand that too.
He's there asking for everybody. This is shock to him.
It's okay to be upset by it. I understand. It's okay to be upset at her family.
Yeah, but their emotions are so shot right now. I can understand it, and I don't. If that's how they want to be,
but you're allowed to be emotional too.
That's fine. What they're mad about is the darn cell phone that I took away from Ashley because her mother told for me to take it away from her. That's what they're mad about, and it's just been a spiral since then in October. And ever since then, their attitude towards me and everything is so wrong. For punishing a 16-year-old girl when she's not hurt, she's not hit, nothing like that. And I'm the worst person in the world for having any, and I understand I'm not her dad, I'm not her disciplinary figure. She disobeyed her mother. I followed a direct order from her mother. Her mother couldn't get it from her. I took her cell phone from her. And then it's just been hell ever since.
That was the whole thing about the wrist?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they took her up to the hospital and did the same with CPS and all this bunch of garbage. They ruled it unsubstantiated, or however they wanted to say it. No note bearing or whatever. When you pull the reports, they documented it all. You can get all that stuff too.
Misdirection.
You want some water?
No, let's move forward. Whatever you need, I'm here to give to you.
Elaborate on that for a second, Doctor.
Yeah, this is all misdirection. He's getting close, feeling guilty because the family's looking at him and he knows that they're thinking he's responsible or they know he's responsible. And then he dials back to go to misdirection with something else about parenting and so forth. So you notice he's back in his posture. Initially sat forward, right? Got the tissue. But yeah, it's time to move in on that closer or dial back to those areas that he's not comfortable with. What do you think, Phil?
Yeah, I think that. See, he when he was in the midst of his performance, and go,
Right.
what do you want to know now? Could have gone two ways with that. Just let him keep talking, or say, "Tell me where Crystal is." That's what I want to know.
Right.
And just go right for the jugular, or just let him, keep playing, poor pitiful me. I think it was one of our comments. Mary said, "Oh, me," and that's exactly what it is. And Troy's right; he's just trying to misdirect and take the focus off of that, because now he's got him, and he's the hook is set, and he's trying to throw it.
I mean, Phil, when he's emotional like that, do you fire back with emotion? Do you say something like, "Well, I know you love Crystal, but where is she? Tell me where she is." I know you guys probably just, huh?
Yeah, that's one technique, and a lot of times that works. I mean, it's a 50-50 shot, but you gotta hit that right at the perfect time, because he's starting to weaken and his defenses are getting down, and he's gonna blurt out, "I didn't mean to do it," or something like that, and so it's all very dynamic right now, and you gotta rely on all your expertise and all of your experience, and know exactly when to hit him with the hard pointed questions. Do you know where she is right now?
Yeah.
They should have moved in and made contact and touched his hand, or say, "Hey, moving closer."
Yeah. All right. About 10 more minutes with this.
I'm innocent. I don't need an attorney, so I'm good. Ask whatever you want to ask.
Well, we can just continue with the conversation, and I don't want to rush you. Take your time. I think we left off around about Saturday morning. So you guys got up, and she wasn't there. So you and Eli got ready and went to the farm. Did you go anywhere else before you went to the farm?
I didn't stop at McDonald's or nothing to get any kind of breakfast, because he had that yogurt, that squeezable breakfast, whatever. I don't know. Whatever. Some of them still in the refrigerator if you want one.
So you went to the farm, and was your mom there Saturday? Do you remember?
I didn't stop at the house up there either that morning.
What do you do with Eli while you're working on the equipment? Is he in the
I'm usually not one that works on the equipment. Sometimes I might drive some of it. But yeah, if I get on that little tractor, he rides in my lap.
No, but I'm saying you said you worked on the drive in front of the barn there. So
yeah, but no, he's got 5 or 6 tricycles and big wheels and stuff like that he plays on.
This isn't about your parenting skills. Don't misunderstand.
I understand. Yeah,
I'm not asking you about that. But if you're working on the dozer, is Eli in the dozer with you, or is he out playing in the yard?
I'm not really working on the dozer. He's got 5 or 6 of them tricycles and big wheels, things that are at the barn. And if he's not out there with the cows or something, he rides them little toys around. We got them down there in the barn. We got them out there in the driveway. It don't take a lot to entertain him. A lot of times he pedals or does whatever he does.
Sure. But how long would you think that it took you to fix that area? And you said let's taking on water there in front of the barn with the
No, I don't know. A lot of times on Saturday, I just use that as a place to vent and get away from what I call the city, not just like Bardstown, the city, but all the city stuff that goes on, loud music and all that. Out there, you hear crickets. Yeah. You don't hear a lot of people. So I go out there to kind of, a lot of times just to get away from the stress of all these tenants and stuff, calling these new construction contractors and stuff. It's a kind of a little vacation away from home.
Thank you,
but
Ollie. Thank
You
you.
told me earlier that on Saturday you fixed the spot in front of the barn where the water was going in.
Yeah, if the water's not if it's not been like raining a solid week or whatever, you can't really tell if it hits and misses. Sometimes if we get a substantial amount of rain, you can kind of tell where problems are, like
Hey, Joel.
and
Yes,
and I can
sir.
Yeah, I know we're trying to get close to wrapping it. So
Oh,
a couple things. Yeah, you probably need a secondary interviewer with him, even just someone to sit there, right? Because it changes the dynamics of everything, right? He's back. If you notice, he's back being comfortable. Again, he's back to being a little more cocky and arrogant, and all that talk is just fluff, right? All the extra talk, and you think he's going to just talk his way out of it. And but yeah, maybe a secondary interviewer always helps. Even if they say nothing.
Yeah, that's Ramos. What do you think about that? It's kind of like not a deterrent, but it's it's you come across more forceful maybe with the second person, right?
Yeah. Troy's exactly right. There's when you got a second detective in the room there, this guy's thinking, well, now there's two of them, two against one, and he's going to be wondering if the second detective is going to ask questions, what he's going to ask, so he's got to prepare for that. And generally, what our practice is when you're interviewing someone that's a potential suspect, you 9 times out of 10, you've got two detectives in there. If you're just interviewing a ancillary witness or someone who said they saw this car driving by and knows a little bit about him, then one-on-one is fine for that. But when you're dealing with someone who's going to be a potential suspect and you're looking to get good information from him, always a good idea to have another detective there, because just like looking at evidence, four eyes are better than two, and you always have your partner, what do you think about this, or what do you think about that, and so the two of you are working the crime scene together, and there might be something you miss. So it's always a good idea when you're talking to a potential suspect to have a second detective there.
I would fold in an interview room within 3 minutes. The CO would be in there for 7 days, at least, if not. Next time I have you on, I'd be like, "What's your longest interview?" You'd be like, "It was 9 days with this woman that used to run STS." All right,
that's why she needs a hot bath and a latte, man.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Here we go.
hell. So that's just what I did. Just piddle, just nothing important, just piddle.
Right. But would Eli normally be in the bulldozer with you while you're operating it? Was he in there with you while you were operating?
He's drove, but not that more there he wasn't. But yeah, I mean, he has been in. He's drove the bulldozer before. He's drove all the tractors out there before.
Okay. So that morning, did you say mom was or wasn't home? You don't know?
I don't remember.
You don't know. Okay. So you don't know that he was out riding on his tricycles or whatever. When you said in the driveway, you mean the driveway for the house or the driveway where that you're working on?
Say it again now.
You said you were working on the driveway in front of the barn with the dozer, right?
Yeah, from down there by.
And you said he was probably riding on tricycles or something.
Yeah, I'm sure he was running on the concrete slab. It's easier for him to pedal on the slab than it is outside there, and I can see him better. My visibility's better if he's in there than out here.
Right. So he was here by the barn and not over by the house in the driveway.
No, he wasn't by the house.
Gotcha. Okay. So you guys finish up whatever you
Maybe later that day or something, he might have went over there. The chickens might have come down there. He might have done something with them. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not uncommon for him to, the chickens out there, they can be fast, but they're not scared of people because he plays with them so much. But you can catch them pretty easy. I mean, he treats them like a cat.
Mm-hmm. So you guys, any idea how long you were out there? Saturday?
It was usually on Saturday I'm not in any kind of a rush because I try to take, I usually try to take it easy on Saturday.
Okay. So did you eat lunch out there?
don't know if I ate lunch there. I know I ate supper out there at Fabian's house that night because he had everybody over there.
Is that a pen in his hand right now?
It looks
Yeah,
like it
because he
is.
was
Yes.
yeah, because
Yeah.
he was drawing on that piece of paper. But did you notice the long pause on that
Ye-
before he answered that last question?
Yeah.
Now he's getting somewhere in there, and I think the detective realizes that, and he's working on it because now there's a completely different demeanor on this guy, and it was almost like he was so obvious he was trying to think of the answer that the way he answered because he went back to that whole the little boy out on the driveway. He circled back to that, and now
Mhm.
he's trying to remember what did I say the first time. Shit, I don't remember what I said the first time.
Yeah.
So he's trying to think of what the answer was.
Yeah, that was a very long pause. Question for you guys: should I shuttle ahead and play like 5-10 more minutes, or keep it here and keep going for 5-10 more minutes?
Keep it here.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
His house for there's about I don't know maybe 150 people over there at my mom's brother's house. We went out there for a short while. It wasn't real long. I know I ate there. Eli ate there. I don't know what we did for lunch. I can't remember.
Did you go from the farm to Fabian's, or?
I don't know if I took I may have went home and taken a shower from being out there on the farm. You know, I don't want to go there smelling like a bunch of cows.
Sure.
I may have went home. I'm not sure. I don't know. I may have went home and took a shower and then came back. That's more than likely what I did, but I can't remember.
Okay. So then sometime Saturday evening, you went over to Fabian's house. Do you remember around about what time that was? That would have been 4th of July.
Yeah, that's when we were supposed to go to that.
Did you all stay out there for fireworks, or?
We didn't stay that late. I know that there was a bunch of people there that I hadn't seen in a good while. That my mom's got a pretty large family that I hadn't seen. And I wanted to see them, but we didn't stay out there real late.
Hey, Joel, real quick.
Yeah.
Do you any idea how many times you've called?
So yeah, that whole time frame is going to be crucial as well, because obviously he knows they were doing something else and he's trying to backtrack or cover. He doesn't really know what to say because obviously he's not going to say the truth about what he's doing, but that would stand out to me. They were doing something else. He or they were doing something else to mask what's going on.
And now would be a perfect time.
Yes.
Like Troy was saying, he just gave a description of what they did all day long. So the logical question to ask him was, well, in all that time, did you try calling to see where your wife was?
Right.
Because she's missing, right, at this point?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ramos, I have a question for you. When it's Friday night and Keith Morrison comes on Dateline, do you watch, or you're like, I'm so over this. I've been doing this for 40 years. I'm not watching a second of this. And you put on like the Simpsons or something. But do you ever watch true crime?
Yeah. In fact, I love Keith Morrison. Met him and did a couple interviews with him on some cases a few years back. I watch that because you learn a lot, man. You still learn. You learn every day about how, especially since I've been out of it for a few years. I love watching the new developments and the new techniques, especially with DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How-
He's a cool guy. He's a cool guy.
How was Keith? Tell us. This is more important than anything. How was Keith Morrison?
He's a laid back, cool guy, but he reminds me of the hippies from the '60s, man. He's just a really good, nice guy.
Yeah, he's a Canadian, good Canadian, but
Well,
he's also,
there you go, even more.
yeah, he's Matthew. Canadians are like cool people. I don't know. There's something about Canada,
Yeah,
but
they are. Yeah, they're laid
yeah.
back, man.
Yeah, he was Matthew Perry's stepfather. So that's a sad story. But he seemed, I've never met him, but everyone says he's a good guy. Memory becomes fuzzy when convenient. I'm gonna keep the stories of the week real quick, so I'll keep playing this for a little bit and then we'll wrap up.
Crystal at this point? By the time you went from getting up Saturday morning until you were going to the family
I know
gathering?
I called her back around maybe noon again the second time.
Thank you, Nancy.
And
Those dogs, awesome dogs.
I don't know what the exact time I called her after that, but I know that sometimes in the past, if I've called her to blow her phone up, it made it worse.
Mhm.
So sometimes I've just called periodically, and I found that she doesn't take as much offense to that. You know, if you're just disrespectful to them, especially if somebody's mad, it just makes it worse. To
Right.
call them. I wasn't even alarmed. I was for sure the girls were doing this to me on purpose. Brooke and Sabrina and them.
So while you're at the family gathering at Fabian's house, anybody ask you where Crystal was?
Mm-mm. She hadn't went out there to Fabian's house a whole lot. Some of them people knew her. Some of them people out there wouldn't have known her. But right then, I don't
Not
remember.
really a big deal for them.
No, and it's something that those people there we see once every, sometimes every few years. So a lot of them people really hadn't. Some of them have seen her, and a lot of them have not seen her.
Mhm.
You know, haven't met her.
Sure.
So like I
So
said, it was a substantial amount of people.
you're out there. You said did you say you didn't stay for fireworks?
No, we didn't stay that late.
So you and Eli leave before dark.
Mhm.
But that's usually when people set off fireworks on 4th of July. And do you go home? You go to somebody else's house?
That was on Saturday.
Yeah, that was Saturday. You go to mom's? Where do you go after you leave there?
He's thinking.
Pause. Yep.
Look at how long this pause is. Shouldn't be that hard. This is like in the very recent past.
Mhm.
Right.
No, I think we rode with my mother over there.
So Fabian's house?
Mhm. Yeah, we rode with her, and then I went home after that.
So you rode back to mom's house with her, and then you didn't stay at mom's. You went back to your house.
Yeah, I didn't. I don't know the exact timing and all that right there, but I do know that I rode with her over there to Fabian's house.
Okay. And you left her house and went home.
I don't know if I stayed there any period of time or not. I may have stayed there just a little bit. I don't think very much, but I might have stayed there a little bit. I'm not sure.
I mean, you didn't stay the night there.
No.
Did you go anywhere else after you left mom's house before you went home?
Not that I can remember.
Okay.
I tell you what would be a good idea for folks is to put a darn camera. You think I'm joking? I'm being serious. You trying to go back through this. I need to put a camera in your vehicle and up there in front of you, just live on tape, and then you.
Well, I'm not asking you to recall every detail of your life, brother. But I'm just trying to.
But it would help me if I could.
Well, but listen, I couldn't tell you what I did 2 days ago. I couldn't tell you what I did before I started investigating this because I've been investigating this for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm not asking you to remember every single minute, but you know, and I realized that it wasn't a big deal for her to be gone for you, but you know, most people can remember, you know, most of the things they did during the day, not every single minute, but you remember going to Fabian's house, you remember leaving Fabian's house,
The highway, yeah.
right, and going. So if you went from mom's house to home, you'd eat dinner at Fabian's.
And I don't know if it was her mother. I met her mother at the gas station somewhere. One of them days.
Mm-hmm.
Her mother, Sherry,
Mm-hmm.
Crystal's mother, Sherry, and I don't know if Ashley was with her and other kids were with them, but I stopped at right there in front of Walmart where I get a bunch of fuel at up right there, that Murphy station across from Lowe's right there.
Right.
And I was on the phone with either Ashley or Sherry, one, I forgot which, and they said, I tell you what I've done too. I talked to Brooke on the phone at the farm. I talked to Brooke, her younger sister, before I left because I was heading into town to get fuel at that point. So whatever time that I talked to Brooke, you'll know that I left.
Mm-hmm.
So make a note of that.
So
I talked to Brooke on the phone, and that's when I was leaving the farm on 49. And I drove in 49, and then I made a right there on 150 and went up there to Walmart. And then I got on the phone with Sherry or Ashley when I don't know whose phone they were on.
Mhm.
But that'll help me right there because that's you can pinpoint an exact time. And then I pulled in there to that Murphy station.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sherry came up there to my window.
Okay.
And asked me if I'd seen Crystal. And this right here is after I talked to Barbara Lane and I called her a couple times. I don't think I got an answer. She's probably busy doing something. And then I sent her a text message. And after I kind of stayed on her, she knew that it was serious because it'd been longer than normal when she'd done this before in the past.
And this was Saturday?
I'm not sure. You'll have to. So much stuff happened all so quick. You'll just have to dissect. That's the reason I've given you all my stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
You can dissect all that. Figure, get an exact time. So I called Barbara and I sent her a text message. I talked to her mother at Walmart, up there at that Murphy gas station. I had Eli with me then, of course. I had him with me all the time, and she wanted to look at Eli. She said, "Where's Eli?" I said, "Right there." And then she spoke to him and she looked at him and said hi, and he said hi, and that was it.
So she just asked you if you'd seen Sherry and you told her no?
No, she asked me if I saw
Crystal, sorry.
Crystal.
Get my names confused. So Sherry asked you if you'd seen
She was the only one. Everybody else stayed in her vehicle, and then she walked over to my truck.
And when you told her I haven't seen her, don't know where she is, and she just said okay and asked
No, she thought that the wisest thing for us to do was she said she was going to go to the police station.
Okay,
and I told her that I think at that point I'd already talked to Barbara, I believe. I'm not sure, Barbara Lane, and I'm not sure. I don't know the time periods. I don't know. I just don't know.
That's fine. So
Then I went home.
So Saturday you went home after
The gas station.
So you think that was okay? So you think the gas station was between leaving the farm and getting showered up before you go to Fabian's?
No, that's incorrect.
Okay. You said you were leaving to go get fuel.
Yeah, I did leave the farm to go get fuel. I don't know. I don't know if that was Friday. I don't know if that was Saturday that I got fuel. I'm sure I did it with my card. I can prove what time that was too.
And
So I talked to
maybe
Sherry.
Friday? Do you think it was this? Do you think you talked to Sherry the same day they reported her missing? You said she said something.
Yes, she said the day that yes.
So
That's
they reported
I
her
think
missing
she-
on Sunday.
Then it was Sunday. I feel like whenever. That's because Sherry told me she's going to the police station.
Mm-hmm.
Is Sherry the one that reported her missing?
Mm-hmm.
Sherry's. All right. I had a question from the media or from the news that I wanted to ask you all think about. You all said that a family member found her car. How does that happen? Rather than the police department, as large as this county is, a family member.
Well, that's a pretty big family, and as I understand it, someone who knew them called them and said there's a car that looks like hers on the parkway, and they went out there.
Who was the family member that found that car?
I don't know. I have to look at my notes. There were two of them.
Am I able to know that question, that
I can
answer?
tell you who it was. I just have to look back through my notes and see who it was. And I'm not great either, but I want to say that it was. I'm trying to think. There was.
You can look back at them. I'm sure it's.
I want to say it was a brother and nephew. I know we took elimination prints from one of them because they touched the car.
Thank you, Bluegrass.
So
Boy.
we took elimination prints from them like we did from you to rule out any prints that we found in the car as being that person.
All right.
So I want to say that it was one of her brothers.
She only had Casey's. Her only
Casey,
brother.
so I want to say it was her brother and maybe her dad that went out there.
All right, so I can't go all day. I would like to actually, because I'd love to see the rest of it. But, Dr. Detective, First word, Phil, get the last word. Then we'll do some true crime stories of the week real quick and some other stories. But did he, up to this point, what do you give the detective grade wise? Is he getting anything here?
So, I mean, there's been quite a bit of key elements and key details shared, key language, the way he's speaking or speaking past tense, key points he's actually honed in on, and significant points he could have really dialed in and went back to stay focused on or keep him on track with. But so far, I mean, we're more than halfway through this segment. I don't know his whole tactic or when he's going to move in for the direct approach or more direct aggressive approach, but so far it's okay. Maybe just build a rapport with all that fluff. But one thing that's good, one great things that he's done, he's actually got him to draw on the diagram. He's getting him to lock himself into where he's been, his meticulous memory until it's convenient for him to forget, and then other key points. So far, I mean, it's good. Everyone has a different style, but he needs a secondary interviewer with him.
Yeah, he sure seemed interested in who reported her missing. I wonder if that
Yes.
person's still on planet Earth. Phil Ramos, your thoughts, your grade of this detective, and did anything like pertinent come out of here, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of pertinent stuff that for him to follow up on. So I would reserve a grade on him at this point. If this is all we're doing, I'd give him a B. You know, he could have done some other things better, but he did things, well enough to get the guy to be on the defensive the way he is, and you can see that he's getting a lot farther than the first 15, 20 minutes with all the pauses and the defensive gestures and stuff like that. So yeah, he's doing a good job. I expect him to continue doing a good job through the end of the interview.
We can come back and revisit it. There's about an hour, a little less than an hour of this interview left. So next time Ramos and Looney are with us, we can go back through it. True crime stories of the real quick. That's hard to say fast. This was out of my home state, which caught my attention. Guy named Louis Cervic. Apparently, a kid does something that he shouldn't have done to his daughter. A 17-year-old kid is kind of bullying his daughter, touching his daughter, doing things. So she goes home, tells the dad, and dad is Louis. Louis then goes to visit the boy's father, Eric, and the 17-year-old boy who's not been named. And the dad, Louis, shows up at the door, and the dad and the kid proceed. The 17-year-old kid, when questioned about this assault of his daughter, the 17-year-old takes a metal bat, Phil Ramos, and starts bashing it over the dad of the daughter's head, killing him. He also smashes the daughter, the minor daughter, in the head, and the daughter fights for her life. The other father gets involved, and the bottom line is there was a melee at the front door, but this is a father going to exact revenge, or at the very least find out why a 17-year-old boy was assaulting his daughter, and then he ends up dead. What is your advice if someone finds himself in a situation? Looked like he tried to take things into his own hands, and it did not end well for anybody, but he lost his life as a result.
Yeah, well, it's obvious, man. You call the cops. You don't try to handle it yourself. And if for some reason you decide to go over there and confront the guy, you certainly don't take your daughter with you. That was just a bad move all around. That's what we're here for. That's what we do. Let us do the police work, and vengeance isn't yours in this particular point.
Yeah, Mr. Man, that's why you call the police. But now, Ramos, let me ask you a hypothetical. I don't even know if you have a daughter, but I think you do. But let's say your daughter's 17 and you are a Las Vegas police officer. Now, are you calling one of your officer friends, or are you like, screw this, I'm going over?
that makes it worse because we're held to a higher standard. So you take her down to the station and have her interviewed by the SA detail and start the proceedings right then and there.
Whether she was drunk, I have no idea. Good question, though. All right, this one's out of the great state of Florida, as 99% of true crime stories are, the state I am now living in. So she is a nurse in Florida, Dr. Detective Troy Looney. She gets caught SAing a 15-year-old stepson. So this is a nurse, and I want to say her late 30s, early 34. She is now sexually assaulting her stepson. The case is pending as far as I know, but what's interesting, she was arrested or charged with quote unquote unlawful sexual activity. But what's interesting about the story is she has now been stripped of her license as a nurse. She will never work as a nurse again. Is this a good deterrent? Not only are they charging her criminally, but they have just now basically destroyed her career.
Yeah, so I think that's obviously necessary because protecting other potential victims, protecting the public. Maybe that's just part of the protocol. They're held to a higher standard, obviously, as well, just like anyone else in the medical field. There's duty to report those kind of events if you discover that or it's mentioned or comments are made. So I imagine that's probably just protocol so far.
Phil Ramos, her name is Natalie Khomenko. She's Ukrainian living in Singapore with her husband. She always wanted to visit Tokyo. It's her 32nd birthday. Her husband gives her a trip to Tokyo. Last minute, he has some kind of business thing. He can't go. He says, honey, please go. I want you to enjoy your birthday. She goes. She's touring around Tokyo, having a great time. She's in her hotel room at night after touring around all day. And she says, I was so tired. I just laid down on my bed with my phone and I wanted to book a train from Tokyo to go somewhere else. And that's when I noticed a slightly weird smell. She says it was rotten. It was like a dead animal, but had a slightly sweet odor. And I realized that the smell was coming from under the bed. I had no thoughts one way or the other. And I just leaned over the bed to check under the bed. And that's when I saw him. I saw his eyes. There was a man who appeared to be in his 20s or 30s lying on his belly. His arms were bent a little bit. One of his legs was a little bit bent. He was very quiet. It was only the smell that helped me spot him. I immediately screamed as loud as I can. He was quietly staring at me for 3 seconds while I was screaming. He had jumped out from under the bed, and then he started to scream. And I thought that he was going to choke me or arm me or kill me in those seconds. I was like, that's it. That's it. And he ran out of the hotel room. This has to be, for a woman, probably the scariest scenario possible. I know the COE would have head kicked him and thrown a right and a left hook. But man, that's got to be scary as hell. You're in your hotel room, locked into your room, and there's a dude. What does it matter with men, Phil Ramos? Let me ask you, what does it matter with guys?
Well, my first reaction is something like this happened in Tokyo, of all places. Man, that's one of the cleanest countries in the world.
And safe.
Yeah. Well, she absolutely would have been justified in defending herself and striking out at this guy. Absolutely, 100%. I don't know, man. That'd be a good one to follow up on what his reason or excuse was for hiding under the bed. How did he get in the room in the first place? And then how long had he been in there? This poor lady.
And imagine smelling that. That is the worst. This one might be my favorite story ever. Not true crime, but there's a bit of a mystery here. It's approaching 9 p.m. on Friday, April 25th. This was in Los Angeles, of course. There are hundreds of people gathered, mostly Gen Zers. They're waiting for the doors to open to this highly anticipated event. It's the world's first ever. Dr. Detective, you want to take a guess at what we're talking about? This is like a sporting event that most people have never heard of. This was something that was thought up by some tech guys who are in their teen years. They had hundreds of people here. Any guess as to what we're talking about? This is a new kind of sporting event.
Oh boy, something with some robots or AI or something. I imagine. I don't know.
Indirectly, Phil Ramos, do you care to take a guess at this?
No idea, man. No idea.
Well, it went off with a bang. This was the world's first ever sperm race. This is sperm racing. You've heard of heard of horse. You've heard of horse racing. This was the world's first sperm race. As they say, went off with a bang in LA. Sperm racing, professional sperm analysis. So what they do is it was a 17-year-old kid named Eric Zhu, Z-H-U or Zoo. I don't know how to pronounce it. He is the co-founder of Sperm Racing. Gentlemen, let us pray. This is exactly what it is. They basically have two guys come up to a podium, almost like if you can picture like the old school Family Feud, where two guys are standing facing each other, and they hit the buzzer. And when they do that, they have their sperm on a large screen. Picture a giant screen of a microscope lens, and you can literally watch the sperm swim through a maze, and you can bet and do all this. Someone, however, it does not have a happy ending. Someone questioned what was going on. The 17-year-old got very defensive. The Gen Zers were questioning. Someone said they were betting on this, by the way, calling themselves fertility athletes. One donor who had a little sperm racing said, people are telling me they're putting thousands of dollars on my nut. So this was what was going on. Turns out there's a big guy in a lab coat who's orchestrating all this. And lo and behold, it turns out that the entire race was somehow manipulated using AI and computers.
Wow.
So it was actually, they did remove the sperm from what I understand, but the actual video was sort of regenerated by a computer. Is that devastating to you, Phil Ramos, that we might not see another sperm race in the near future? Can you get over this?
God help us. That's all I can say.
Wow.
I don't know what's worse. I don't know what's worse, this or the Karen Reed trial. I'm not sure which, but it's a sign that I think end times are not far away. Dr. Detective, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. I mean, would you bet on a sperm race? Would you ever do? I have a degenerate friend, Doug, who loves. He can't wait for the Derby coming up. He's a big horse fan. He'd probably bet on this. But Dr. Detective, would you ever get involved?
That's a no. Somebody's going to jail. No, I'm not going to get involved. I think I'll pass on that.
So here's my question: how do you know who the winner is? I mean, did they take little numbers and put them on the soldiers, or how do you know who wins?
I don't know. That's a great question. I didn't get that deep into it, but I'm sure there's an answer. And by the way, this 17-year-old then later found out that this had been done before in the UK, and his sperm race was not the first ever sperm race, which leads me to believe that we will see another sperm race. And yes, Canine Catherine.
Wow.
This happened in LA. The Olympics are coming in 2028, and we'll see. It might become a real event. Who knows? Tuskegee, Alabama, the final story of the day. Shout out to the Tuskegee Airmen, of course, the famous airmen. This was a runaway marsupial on a highway in Alabama. Sheila the kangaroo. And if you don't believe me, watch. This is what police officers have to do. This is some guy that just has kangaroos. He raises kangaroos. And it got out, this kangaroo. I guess.
Going, buddy?
Yeah, this dude can jump, so he jumped over the guy's fence. He said he thought it was like a deer at first, but it's Sheila. That's Sheila. Ramos, what's the weirdest call you were ever called out to? Like, what would you do right now, Ramos, if you got called on this? What do? You angle your police car and try to?
No, man, I don't want to hurt that poor little kangaroo.
No, I mean,
let
like,
it
to keep
run.
traffic behind you. Like, I mean,
Yeah. And then see if he could find a cowboy with a lasso and a fast horse. See if you can get him stopped. But those things can be dangerous, man. They got some pretty strong legs, and
they'll punch you. Like, have you ever seen those? They box you, like in Australia. These guys get into fights with kangaroos. I think. Well, look at Let Us Pray is right. You can't really beat the sperm racing story, but Ramos, give me one really weird thing that you got called out. What is going on here? What Joel probably has a terrifying search history. I used to, not anymore.
When I was in patrol was my favorite job, man. And I had all the good, cool jobs, but patrol was my favorite.
Really?
You get called out to a trailer park because family hadn't heard from grandma. Knock on the door and open the door, and there's grandma sitting with a tin foil hat pointed, and she says, they're coming after me. I said, who's coming after you, grandma? I said, the aliens. They're going to be here any minute. So we sat there for an hour, talking to her, which was weird. But here's a tragedy. The next day, she had passed away.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you find out that she passed away the next day? Did someone let you know? Like,
the coroner's office called because I had left my card there. The coroner's office called and said, were you the officer that responded last night? I said, yeah, I was there. Why? What happened? She goes, well, she's dead. And I thought, man, I guess I should have spent more time with her. I felt bad about that.
Yeah. I used to have to do every day. I would do a live shot, not a live shot. I would do two, like what they call stand-ups in news, like we see at the end of the story. And I'd have to stand. We had like an area in front of the U.S. Capitol, and obviously that's an area that you get a lot of people always walking by. But one thing that would happen very consistently is you get a very seemingly normal person walking by who would then stop you and start a conversation, and it would be a perfectly normal conversation until they got to like the part where they're exactly like what you just described. They would tell me like, don't look over your left shoulder because there are people coming after you. And it was actually very sad. I don't want to end on a down note, but it was a lot of very paranoid people, and they gravitate to the government, to DC, because they are fearful, a lot of them, that the government is after them. And it would happen frequently. And it'd be kind of disturbing. I don't know. We got to end on a happy note. Troy Looney, what is one of the strangest calls that you got?
Oh my gosh.
I hope the 10 ladies okay, like up in heaven. Go ahead.
Right. Thinking of animals involved, there was a guy that was raising like a hybrid dog wolf animal, and it got loose like in the west part of our city, West Akron. And so the calls start coming in. There's a wolf on the loose. People are like, yeah, right. We're typing on our computers. Yeah, of course. Right. Exactly. So until I saw that thing run by, and I'm like, yep, that's a wolf. And a couple officers tried to corner it in the backyard, and animal control's out and trying to use darts, but they ended up catching it. But it was just kind of wild. So I don't know what we were supposed to do with it.
When that happens, do you just stay a mile away and let the quote unquote animal control guys do their thing?
Well, you at least stay in your cruiser unless you got a shotgun.
I'll end this on a funny note, man. This is a funny one. So again, I'm in patrol and I'm driving around. Here's this red Mercedes convertible with the top down and blonde with her hair in the wind, and she goes zooming by me, doing probably 70, 80 miles an hour. So, well, we can't let this happen. So I go pull her over, and by the time I get up to the car, she's doing this, unbuttoning her blouse and, doing the cleavage thing. And I said, I need your license and registration. She goes, why? I said, well, you were speeding. She goes, okay. And she gives it to me. I go back to the car. And because she was doing all that, I was just going to give her a warning, right? But because she was doing all that, I wrote the ticket, walked over, and I said, ma'am, you were doing 70 in a 45, I think was. She goes, well, I thought you guys didn't give pretty girls tickets. And I
Mm.
ripped the ticket out and I said, we don't. Here.
Wow.
I've seen the COE, by the way, get out of several tickets. She's exceptional at that. That's why I think the police interview would go on forever. Did Sheila make it home? For those who are just joining in the 11th hour and missed the entire show, except for this. This is Sheila right here. This is Sheila right here. And Sheila did, in fact, make it home. I feel like I would go to like give Sheila a scratch under her chinny chin chin, and she would level me with like a left hook, and I'd be knocked out.
Yeah.
Sheila's probably a lot cuter and more gentle than she might be if you look at her. I wonder how far she would hop along. Like she could probably get up to Jersey at this rate. It's got to be weird to just hop. Like what if it's a weird existence. You have to hop your whole life. It must be exhausting, but you must get some serious leg muscles there. So there you go.
Oh yeah.
Well, so I know we have to say goodbye, and as you can tell, I have a hard time doing this. But Ramos, I'm curious. Patrol, of all the things you did, infiltrating the mob, undercover narcotics. Why was patrol? Because it was just you're out and around with like the regular folks.
Yeah, it was fun, and patrol's fun, but it's also, dangerous. You never know what you're stepping into. But you see the funniest things, the craziest things, the saddest things, and you just never know what's coming down the road. You know, I mean, you work homicide, you get called out to homicide, you know you're going to be standing over a dead guy for a long time. But patrol, man, I loved working patrol.
Yeah, but patrol, I mean this with all due respect. You can get literally killed at any moment, right? Like you just it's so unpredictable. Like would that run through your mind? Like I'm going out on patrol. Like are you always like when you're on patrol, you got to be extra, right?
Yeah, your radar is always going because a simple traffic stop could be your last thing. Domestic violence. You're always on edge when you go on a domestic violence call because they're the worst ones to go on. It's
right.
That might be part of the allure to it is you just never know what's going to happen. So you get excited about what's coming around the corner.
That's it. We covered a lot today. Brooks Houck, I didn't know much about the story. And most importantly, sperm racing. Tomorrow is Space Coast's birthday. I won't even ask. I don't even know how old he is. I've already lost track. All I know is these people all used to make fun of me. Now they're all catching up. And I love every minute of that. So I will take great joy knowing that he's catching up to me in age. But huge thanks to Dr. Detective Troy Looney. Huge thanks to Detective Phil Ramos. Both these guys are awesome. So are FIL, Phil, and Scott Duffy, who are going to eventually come back. But hey, I love having Phil and Troy here. And thank you to Dr. Von Decay for that in her what appears to be a lab coat, doctor coat. I love it. Everybody have a safe weekend. My son and I are going to get haircuts. And if you want to see the end result, you got to follow me on Surviving the Survivor on Instagram. He's asking me, I have no idea where this kid came from. He's asking me he wants like the vanilla ice. He doesn't know he wants the lightning bolts on the side of his head. He asked me. And I think I'm going to oblige for some reason. I have no idea where he got that from. But anyway, that's a whole other story. I will interrogate my kids. I'll probably put that on Instagram as well. And I'll be monitoring their body language all weekend. Love you, America. Have a great weekend. Phil Ramos, be safe. Dr. Detective, be safe. Space Coast, happy birthday. COE, happy no birthday. And everybody have a great time. Steve Cohen, happy birthday week to you. We'll see you all next week. A week from Monday, I'll be in New York covering Diddy. Take care, everybody.